Good morning. Less is more. Do you believe that? Today I'm going to be giving you some reflections on minimalism as a concept and then fasting. I see fasting as like minimalism for the body. Minimalism in general, I'm a very big proponent of. Fasting, I'm a big proponent of. If the situation is appropriate for it, of course. Less is more. This is something that we can apply to so many areas of life. It's probably not always true. You know, I'm not a fan of poverty, for example. So anything taken to its extreme, of course, is not good. But in general, less is usually more, especially in our modern context where we're just drowning in stuff. It takes surprisingly little to be healthy and to find contentment. Finding contentment is something that it's probably like a top goal of mine. I mean, an idea behind simple fasting, behind fasting in general, finding contentment in our life, and then using that space of contentment to further our health. Minimalism is like the same thing, but outside of the body, right? Inside the body, fasting can help with minimalism. Pat is here. Hello. Good morning. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you are doing well. Outside of the body, this is where we usually think of minimalism. You know, if you ask the average person to say, tell me about minimalism, you think about like, I'm going to clean the house and get everything in, get rid of clutter, get rid of all of the things that we don't need. So I want to think about merging these ideas today. I wrote down a few of my top thoughts on minimalism. Is a purposeful reduction. So if we're thinking about minimalism in general, about life, I saw someone suggest once, if you haven't touched a thing or used it in the last year, maybe you don't need that. Hey, can you tell me in the chat? Last week, my stream didn't transmit very well. Can you tell me in the chat? Are things playing smoothly? YouTube, it says my data isn't satisfactory. So I don't know. If you're having any trouble, let me know. I try to troubleshoot it while we're going. Remove the excess so that we can make space for what really matters. I like that idea. And what are the things that truly matter? Pat says, isn't that interesting? Minimalism versus hustle culture, which is all about maximizing. Yeah, this is what we're sold. We're sold on the idea that we have to maximize every dollar, that we have to maximize our productivity, that that we should find our meaning and value in what we produce or what we consume. And I don't know that any of these things are true. At least they're not always true, you know? I mean, there's certainly value in quality work and doing things and, Minimalism, I think it's not about having nothing. It's not about being an ascetic and moving out into a monastery in the wilderness. Um, it's about just having things of value and really valuing those things. So if we're going to, over our talking, we say we try to merge. Okay, we have a concept of minimalism that maybe is an interface with the physical world, and then we have minimalism in the body, which we could say is like fasting might be the pinnacle expression of that, but it wouldn't have to mean that, right? It could just mean focusing on only the highest quality foods that bring health and vitality to the body, right? So that could be a minimalist tendency. And then fasting could be the ultimate expression of it, to say, hey, I don't need anything in this space for a period of time. But not nothing forever. That's always the balance. With food, of course, it's always a balance. I always describe healthy eating and fasting as two sides of the same coin. They're kind of inseparable. Like, we need good nutrition, and we need periods of time where we're free from nutrition, for example, where we can just process. So minimalism, a purposeful reduction, trying to get down to the essence of what matters. I think kind of a principle of minimalism in general, simplicity is clarity, right? When there's so many distractions, this is the modern world, this is like consumer culture, right? So many things, hard to focus. We've talked about that on that live stream, the screen-free, reducing, the inputs, social media, news, all the things are just so much stuff. It's like hard to find clarity when we're overwhelmed by so many, information things we talked about. Then minimalism, like physical things in our environment. The more things we have, the more stuff, the more all the stuff has to be cleaned and maintained and organized. So a thought of minimalism is like, clear that out. Simplify, make it easier to find clarity. Okay, when we're finding clarity in our life, helpful in so many ways, say we apply that same sort of principle into what we eat. Simplicity is clarity. So much of the idea of minimalism, like, don't impress people by how much stuff you have. Like, I feel like society's kind of grappled with that for a while. Maybe cooking shows. Maybe cooking shows have driven that, right? Like, I want to eat the most beautiful meal like this celebrity chef is making, and look at the incredible things. Like, shouldn't I be experiencing that? Well, is what they're consuming and making, is it actually the healthiest stuff? I'm all up for, putting a lot of time into cooking really delicious food. Don't think that's probably one of the main things we should spend our time on, is like, that's an artistic endeavor, that's creative, cook delicious, healthy, nutritious food. But is it usually the things that are healthiest, right, are actually simple ingredients? It's not extravagant things. So minimalism, some people would describe minimalism as like trying to free yourself from consumer culture. And I really do like that. Don't always need the next thing. That's about it. Like, we got millions and millions and millions of companies, trying to sell us stuff, right? And that's fine. You say maybe you own a company and you're trying to make your way in the world selling people things. Like, that's fine. That's a market, right? And we need that. But maybe this, I don't know, I'm not an economist, but like, is this the capitalist sort of mindset? I don't know. Like, but the consumption, we can get addicted to it, right? And people can start finding their meaning and value from what they consume. And, that is not a healthy thing. So minimalism is about pushing back on that. It's saying no to the next thing. It's trying to say, like, you are enough without adding anything to it. Or adding only the precious few things that actually make life better. And those things are very few. When we say less is more, it might be that subtracting things actually makes life better. And that's a concept we don't have much in our society, but then take it into the body, right? Subtraction, that's fasting, right? From a way to think about it. Sometimes I think about like the fasting state as the baseline, and then we just add things to it. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is to say 3 meals a day every day is normal, which I don't really think is the case necessarily. But then you say, okay, subtract from that, might be better. Probably each of those ways have value to look at it. But I saw a picture once, or a little animation. I think I was watching it was like a YouTube on dopamine, right? You understand, dopamine is like this neurotransmitter. It's the reward pathway. Anything that we do that our brain perceives as like good, or as like do more of that, like then we get dopamine. Dopamine makes us feel good, gives us, momentary satisfaction. And so, certainly eating, right? High dopamine rewarding foods, sugar and stuff like this, right? We say very enjoyable to eat. We're getting lots of dopamine. That's how we get like sugar addiction or something like this. You think of like a shopaholic, right? Like we can be consuming anything. It's like, oh, I'm just going to get this thing. I saw the ad. I saw the happy person. I want to be happy. We're all looking for meaning, right? If I went and I bought this thing, think how happy I would be. But have you done that? I mean, I know I've certainly done that. Retail therapy, right? Like you're feeling down. It's like, oh, I'll get this thing. And then this thing is going to do it for me, right? We derive much more satisfaction from the thinking of it than we do from the getting it, usually. Have you had that feeling? You really wanted a thing, and then you're like, you go to get it, and even you have it in the car and it's good, but by the time you're home, you're just like, you're back, you're like, and then it's like, what's the next thing, right? And so that's true with the physical objects that we buy, the things that we bring into our home, the way we spend our money, and then food is one section of that, right? So if we were to apply minimalism to our eating, then we would say, there's, I don't know if it's a famous quote or what, like people either live to eat or eat to live. And I was arguing with someone the other day, is it really that binary? Can't it be in the middle? I mean, I think it probably can. I mean, but as a concept, so I mean, I really value good food. And I think good food is how we, connect with friends and family. And maybe that's the key part of it, relationships. And we, relationships are probably, that's what this experience is about. That's what really brings, I think, meaning, joy, satisfaction to life is relationships. And then food can help us so much with that. So that's where the value should be, using food as a way to bring meaning, joy, value, and help foster relationships, as opposed to just finding meaning in eating or something like this. Yeah, I completely agree. Moving toward movement as therapy. Yeah, better than retail or food therapy. I was thinking the other day about the human body, and you just look at the human body and think how much of this thing is like arms and legs. It's just a giant movement machine with a few other components to help power the arms and legs so that we can move around, and it is a big movement machine. Just taking a walk, right? That's the therapy that I find just about the best. Um, a principle of minimalism aligning with our values, right? So minimalism, I think most people are looking in who are focusing on it, aren't saying like the point isn't just to have less, just for the sake of having less. Like just because like living in an empty house is better. It's not like that sort of thing. It's saying what are the things that you really care about? And then arranging your life in that way. That's kind of a minimalist philosophy. So that's definitely how I would say to look at, a fasting practice, a healthy eating practice, wherever you're at. What are the actual values that we have, and how do we actually clear out everything that doesn't align with that? Going with water today for the minimalism. Water and no music. That was my subtle implementation of minimalism for the show today. Strip out every unnecessary thing. Now, coffee, I will say, coffee might actually align with my values. I value it. So I don't know. So maybe a true minimalist, you don't have to get rid of the coffee, but today I did. Minimalism is like you choose what matters, grab onto that, and let go of the rest. Yeah, that is minimalism. And yeah, reevaluate the importance of food in the big picture. Yeah. I'll be curious to see what do you say about it? What does the end result of that look like? When I hear your statement, I kind of think of two things. Like, okay, the importance of food. And this is kind of like a food consumption culture. I think, like, do we need to like downplay the importance of food? Like, we're so focused on it. But then the opposite thought hit me, where I was like, we need to like make the importance of it so much more, but to take it away from the consumer and food therapy sort of focus that it is, and focus on the part of food that is just the most important, like bringing the core nutrition into our body, keeping all the stuff that isn't really food, like some bag of Doritos. Like I think we have to have a concept like it's not actually food. Like it hurts the body. And so things that hurt the body in a true definition, I don't think can be considered food. So like a food has to bring, yes, calories and energy into the body, but it has to also, bring health and nutrients into the body. So yeah, reevaluate the importance of food from both sides. Both, are we finding our contentment in it? And is it bringing us health? I think those sides of it are the things to think about. Kadeen is here. Hello. Reevaluating food helps me in all areas of my life to make better decisions overall. Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that. I like that. And that's what I think we can have a lot of benefit, from that mindset both ways, with kind of minimalism as a broader concept as far as our interaction with consumer culture, as if we're being more thoughtful about the environment we create, if the clutter is down, if the stress is lower, I think it's going to be easier for us, not that it's easy, to make better food choices, hopefully. And then as we are making better food choices, hopefully that, like you're saying, that can spread out through the rest of our life. A minimalist philosophy is that the space that we're in, like the physical, emotional sort of environment that we create, that can help to bring peace and contentment to our life. That when we're not surrounded by clutter and things, that space can be more, therapeutic and supportive of wellness, right? A state of thriving and well-being. And I agree with that. Like, you think about like times when you're stressed, like, okay, work is crazy, life is crazy, as like you're not keeping on top of things in the house. Like isn't it stressful? Like if you come home and it's like there's stuff everywhere, the dishes aren't done, the bed isn't made, like just there's like everything is chaotic. Doesn't that feed into like the mental emotional state? Versus like, have you gone on a vacation, for example, but you were like meticulous and you had the house clean before you left? Is like, just coming home, right? And it's like, oh man, everything is clean, everything is put away. Like it's just a peaceful, like you see it, like, oh, peaceful environment, right? So minimalism can help create that physical environment, and then if we mirror that in the body. I did the live back in the fall on autophagy. Autophagy is the process of cellular cleansing and cellular recycling that all the cells in our body, we've got 30 trillion cells, and we have different modes of operating in the body. When we're eating, body is every cell is communicated. Okay, this is like food mode, energy's coming in, we're organizing the nutrients. And if we're always eating, then we're always running that mode. But like everything in the world, really, like my car started making a funny sound the other day, and I was like, well, like here's the next issue to have to deal with, right? Things need maintenance. And it takes time and space. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to schedule a thing at the dealership. I'll be sitting at the dealership. When am I going to do it, right? So it takes space to maintain and deal with issues, right? And every complex machine, human body, complex machine, the autophagy space, the fasting space, is scheduling time for what I call like downtime operations. Like what are the maintenance tasks that needs to be done? Some of the maintenance tasks that needs to be done, it's like, okay, think you're coming back into the house. Think of our house as like the cell. The dishes need to be cleaned. The floor needs to be swept. Like the clothes and laundry needs to be put away. Like if you are working from home and you've triple booked yourself and you're working all night and you never have time to do that, your house is going to stay a mess. So think of the cell, right? The cell is building proteins and it's creating all the things that it needs and hormones and all this stuff. If it never gets a break, then all the junk, all the excess, like the scraps from your projects, right? You got to clean all that up. Fasting gives that space. We want to create the environment in the cell that is like our beautiful, clean house that we came home to. And so when we open up that space and we let the cell do that, the thing that's most interesting to me, I was reading again about autophagy the other day. Like there is cellular debris. So this cellular debris, think of like an art project or, I think cutting out some paper mache thing, or like whatever it is. And then there's like scraps around, right? So you did work and then there's like scraps, all the scraps sitting there. There's a lot of stuff like this in the cell, and that's like actually energy, but it's just sitting there clogging stuff up. And so like when we're fasting, you say, okay, no calories coming into the body, but there's still all this energy there. And if it's energy that is like cellular debris that the cell can chop up and use, That's so fascinating, so efficient. And, sometimes I've discussed with different nutritionists about fasting. And, I remember a discussion I was having with a nutritionist about, they're like, well, if you're fasting, you're not going to be getting enough protein. And they were really, bothered by this. And of course, protein is extremely important. And I want people to get plenty of protein. I don't want anybody muscle wasting. I want everybody strong. But here's the thing. I've been interacting with people with fasting for years and years now. Fasting makes you strong. And this is what I think people need to realize, especially when you mix fasting with some resistance training, right? When we're talking about make movement, the therapy, stay active. These are two of the main things that bring health to the body. Fasting, I hope you can see, certainly make you mentally strong, right? When we are finding our contentment internally, not seeking it from outside of ourselves, that's a very, very strong mental state, but physically strong in the body. And part of it is this cellular debris that's just sitting around the cell. A lot of that is protein. And so as you clean it up, you can actually use those proteins to remake important structures in the cells. So some of the cells, one of the main ones, ribosomes, I got to dig deep here. So ribosomes are like the little protein factories. They actually make the stuff of the cell. But ribosomes degrade over time, and they need to be recycled. And in that autophagy space, the body will chop up the old dysfunctional ribosomes and other structures. Those are all made out of proteins. Now we got protein that we're like using in our body. So I haven't seen any studies on this. This would be a great study to do. Is to just see like if we had a group who's doing normal eating all the time, and we had a fasting group, like because we're activating these recycling pathways, I just feel it's the case that we don't need quite as much protein as like if we don't hit an RDA of protein in a day, but we are fasting and we're activating these autophagy pathways, I just tell you, I think it's totally fine. Yeah, absolutely. Try to simplify the fasting process. This is what I want to do, and I really do agree. So many people need it, and I do feel that way. And that is why ultimately I left my medical practice just to try to focus on this. Is actually yesterday was the 1 year anniversary, and of the my last day in clinic, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. From the standpoint of like, how has a year gone by? I can't really believe it. It has been the most interesting year of my life. There's no doubt. And I'm not knowing how I feel about it is not in any way mean I'm not happy about it. I'm extremely happy about it. It's just like, man, a whole year, and wow. But yeah, people do need it. And this is what I was thinking about. I was taking the day yesterday. Like, how do we take this concept that is so simple, to me is so beautiful, and help to really distill it into the most understandable process so that the most people can benefit from it. And that's what I'm going to continue absolutely trying to do. I have a secret project. Man, I haven't put so many videos on the channel because I've been working on my secret project. You're going to have to stay around to see it. We're just a couple weeks away. And that's going to be great. Let's see. I collected on here. Oh, did I finish my thought? Yeah, just creating that space. What I was saying, okay, creating this environment in our house, right, in our life that is supporting peace, contentment, this space in our body then, like I was saying, burn out the excess. Then you think of that environment in the body that is like clean, efficient, organized. Clearly, that's the sort of space that health can flourish in. And And then those two, to me, cycle, right? If we are living in an environment that is clutter-free and has only beautiful things of value, and certainly beauty in the eye of the beholder, beauty does not have to be expensive. Make sure you read me on that. Just things of value. A beautiful crayon drawing from a child, doesn't have to be some extravagant. Certainly minimalism isn't about extravagance. And then in the body, then, that we have this open space, we're allowing the body time to process these things. If we can have both of those things coming together, that's the sort of environment that I think, that you can find contentment and satisfaction in. And it's certainly the sort of thing that I'm trying to do. I think the days, when I feel best, then finding the best mental health, the clarity, the focus are in when both of those things are happening, right? Everything is cleaned and put away. The environment is at peace. And I'm in a fasting state and just completely dialed in and focused. That's a beautiful combination. Let's see, didn't I collect on here some quotes? I just was doing some searching for some thoughtful quotes. Let me read you some of these and we can ponder them. Here's a quote from Thoreau. "I make myself rich by making my wants few." I love that, man. I found that one. I was actually looking for a different quote that I was remembering that I haven't been able to find yet, but this one is close to it. "I make myself rich by making my wants few." It's by someone like Socrates. It goes way back, but he says something like this, that the wealthiest person in the world is, he who wants nothing. It's something like that. Getting a control on our desires, our wants. If we are wanting less, that's the path to contentment. And the path to contentment is how we get a handle. Like if we struggle on food cravings, on eating things we don't want, this is so common, right? This is the struggle of our time. All right, Henry David Thoreau. That's keep that one in mind. Here's a classic kind of minimalist quote: "Collect moments, not things." I really like that. Another version of that I've heard before is just memories make us rich, right? So if we are focused, that's the thing, like we were saying before, relationships. This is what life really is about. The memories, the things that really have value to us are the time we spent with people we care about. And so collect more moments like that and less of things. And then, food should be in service of that. Here is a quote I found from the book Anne of Green Gables. "Look at the sea, girls, all the silver and shadow and visions of things not seen. We could not enjoy its loveliness any more if we had millions of dollars and ropes of diamonds." I think, that is just a completely beautiful. You have all the money in the world. You have all the things. Can you enjoy a beautiful sunset anymore? Like, does it make any difference? Like the actual things that bring joy and beauty to life. Like, certainly money doesn't doesn't really affect that. I saw a study once. Have you ever seen this? I should look this up for a future discussion. But it was an epidemiological study of global happiness, and it was surveying like where in the world are people the happiest. And it certainly isn't the United States, I'll tell you that. So that's where I'm in. I'm in Wisconsin in the U.S. for anybody who's out of the country. So, and it certainly wasn't, in places where people are dealing with extreme poverty. It is, I forget where it all was, but it's basically, the take home was like, it's places where people have their basic needs met, but people doing okay, nobody starving or struggling, but it wasn't in the very wealthy places. I should look that up. That was years ago I read that. But yeah, you think about where we find contentment. Really happy to hear this. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I hope, in some vision I have, I think small is beautiful. I really believe that. And so it doesn't much bother me if this doesn't, grow or something. But it'd be fun to have a lot of people come in here and we just share the experience. And I would, love it too, just to the extent that it is helpful to people. Appreciate that. Let's see, a couple more quotes to round things out. Stop trying to impress others with the things that you own and begin inspiring them with the way that you live. Just love that. Maybe one slice of the way that you live is a fasting lifestyle of kind of pushing back on consumerism in that way. So many people in our culture, right, where everybody is like 70%, are looking, for the next health thing, right? The supplement, the medicine, the practice that is going to be the thing that will turn it around. And I was looking for that, personally for a long time. I came to fasting was like a miracle. I've told that on the story. It's the first video, I think, on my channel. If you want to come back and see where I came from, the story of how I found out, about fasting, bringing healing and health to people. The billions upon billions of dollars that are spent trying to buy health. This is, here's a huge interface of minimalism, right? You can't really buy health. I mean, you can buy healthy food and you need that to be healthy. So maybe that's a caveat. But you think about, this quote that we had about, you got your millions of dollars, you can't enjoy the sunrise across the ocean anymore, If you're a billionaire, you have more money than you could use in 100 lifetimes, but you're not healthy. You're just going to spend all of that money trying to, gain whatever slice of health that you can. So health is wealth, right? And so our focus should match that. My experience has been that, I think, okay, the first video on the channel, I told the story of how it started. And I think the second is a video on how much I hate hype. Like, I'm kind of anti-hype, The weight loss space is just almost nothing but hype. Everybody hyping everything. And so I put that video, I never want to hype anything. And I was exploring there. I'm excited about fasting because I've seen it bring healing and health to people. See, I'm excited. And so, like, what is the line between being excited and sharing excitement and hyping something is something that I have no interest in doing. So that video kind of explores that line. But I am excited about it. And so can fasting be one sliver, with this quote? Inspire people by the way that you live. People are looking for something that brings health. I think people are looking for a pill that does what fasting does. That's how I see it. People look at Ozempic as, fasting in a shot. And to the extent that Ozempic helps people with weight loss, it helps people practice fasting basically by making people somewhat nauseous so they don't feel like eating so much. And it's like, can that help? Yeah, that can help people lose weight. I'm not, anti, medications. But what I do want people to see is that you can have the benefit, all of the benefit of an effect like that with none of the cost or risk by thoughtfully and gently teaching yourself, learning how to practice fasting can give you all of the benefit and so much more, because it's not just the physical effect of the body. It's the mindset, the attitude, and the mental strength that comes from actually gaining control over your emotions, right? That's very hard to do, right? And there's very few ways to do it, and there's certainly no pill that I'm aware of that can help you do it. Actually, taking the pill is saying, I'm not going to do the very difficult work and task of changing this. I'm going to use the physiologic effect of the medicine to kind of force my body into that state. Now, maybe there are times when that's a reasonable trade-off. And certainly, there's certain seasons or times in our life going through difficult time where you say, I just don't have the mental bandwidth to be able to do it. And I totally recognize that. But I think we should take special care to try to build and create the environment where we can do it. And that's kind of the whole point of this episode, or whatever you call this session, right? Create the physical environment. That's minimalism in the normal sense, that is supporting our internal environment. And then fasting, a physical practice inside our body that can actually help us do the hard work of building the emotional state of peace and contentment in our mind and in our body. So those are my thoughts of the day on minimalism and fasting. I hope that is helpful. The emotional control, that is the key. It's the key to everything, I think, both in health and life. I get done, classically on the sessions, I get done with my thoughts, and I'm real quick to hit the button and sign off. I got a little left on my water of the morning. I'll hang around if people have questions or reflections on that. I'm going to be pondering this for the week, I think. These thoughts, minimalism and fasting, and trying to really dial that in will be my thoughts for the week, in addition to my project I'm working on. Excellent. Really glad to hear it. I do this pretty much every week on Sunday, and I've had different, feedbacks from people about, like, well, is Sunday the best day, or should it be? I mean, the idea for me of Sunday is like, okay, we've kind of gotten through the week and we had a day to decompress on Saturday. And so, we can kind of decompress, thoughtfully reflect on last week, and then super dial in and charge up for the week to come. Try to set our intention for today. How can we get in the mindset of setting ourselves up for a really great week to come, so that we can move forward in health? In general, it's hard to stay on track with a health goal in the long term. This just as a general rule. And so creating mindful practices and routine groove is the best way that I have found for people to do it. So that's part of the idea with this show. I don't know, do I call it a show? I don't even know what to call it. This experience is just to say, I think a weekly basis is kind of a nice meter or session for something like this. I do a live session like this for my private community. So if you don't know, I have that. Is more like Zoom there, where we can actually have face-to-face conversations. Actually, really nice. So I totally like that. Yeah, Sunday reset. So that's the idea with it. I do like that. I do want to continue doing it and have this go certain sessions. So this session, I'm just talking. Other sessions, I dial in with thoughtful music, and I really have appreciated that. I like the balance. I do like this, kind of strip it down. I do like some of the music sort of sessions that we've done to kind of create an ambiance and vibe of kind of thoughtful reflection. And yeah, that will have to fix. That's a little bit to work on. Appreciate sharing this space with you all. I wish you the very best. Have a great week. Look forward to connecting with you again next week. Have a good one.